Do you compost? Ever think to yourself, why isn't my compost working? Or have you ever looked at it and thought, why isn't this shit breaking down? Or has stuff been in there that has been in there for months maybe? Have you ever just thought, why is this compost thing so hard? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then you may be making 3 common mistakes that many composters, seasoned and beginner, seem to make when composting. Hi, I'm Compost Fairy, and I am going to talk to you today about 3 common mistakes that composters make when composting, and how you can avoid making them so that you can have a delicious, worthwhile compost. So our first common mistake that many composters make when composting is throwing food scraps in their hole instead of cutting them up and making the pieces way smaller. Now, why don't we want to throw these in whole? Well, the microbes that are breaking down our compost, our food scraps, our browns, all that shit, they need surface area, enough surface area to be able to break shit down. And they get that when it's a smaller piece. This is not enough area for them to break down, which means that they're going to break it down slower. Whereas when the pieces are smaller, even something simple as just cutting it into slices, it allows the microbes to get way more surface area and they're able to break it down quicker. The smaller the pieces, the quicker it'll break down. Think of it like ice. If you have a big piece of ice outside on a hot day, it'll eventually melt, of course. But if you stomp on that ice and make it into smaller pieces, it's gonna melt like this. So that's the same with our food scraps. Those microbes can break the shit down whenever it's really, really small, way quicker than when it's really whole. And I guarantee you will see way quicker breakdown and decomposition of your foods and browns when you are making it into smaller pieces. So that's very important when we compost. That goes for your brown material too. If I throw this in there just like this, it's gonna take a long time. If I tear it up into smaller pieces, that baby will break down like nothing. The second most common mistake that many composters make is not adding enough brown material to your compost. I have these yummy bad looking food scraps, and so they need to be added to the compost pile, so I'm gonna add them. But do I wanna keep it like this? No, I absolutely do not wanna keep it like that because I don't want any food showing. We cannot keep those food scraps just sitting here like that. We have to go ahead and balance it out with some browns. And so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm tearing up these pieces because, again, we want smaller pieces so it'll break down easier. But the browns are such an important part to the composting process. You wanna make sure you have browns so that you can cover up the odors and keep pests at bay. You also wanna make sure you have your browns because they provide energy. The carbon in them provides energy to the microbes to be able to break shit down. And then also your browns gives it that nice earthy brown black color towards the end. And it just helps your food scraps kind of not just be an anaerobic mess, but the brown allows it to be able to soak in that moisture and be able to hold it longer, which we want for our compost to do eventually for our plants one day. And so having those browns are going to be essential. Making sure you have a good two to three times more browns than greens is going to be good in terms of making sure that you have a good ratio. It'll also ensure that you have a nice balanced compost. And there we have it. My browns have been added. You cannot see the food scraps, and I have about 2 to 3 times more browns than the food. So add them browns, y'all. They're important. Now, the last mistake that many composters make when composting, and this is pretty common because folks just don't know when, but it's not letting your compost sit and get time to finish. What do I mean by that? Well, as we know, we add to our compost bins, and instead of it being like trash where it grows up, our compost goes down. And so even though we're adding to the bin continuously, the bin will still kind of go down, or the pile will still will grow but also go down, and then you're just kind of like having this never-ending pile or bin of compost. And so it's important that we let our compost finish. We come to a stopping point and let it have time to breathe and finally break down so that it can be a nice finished product and nice finished compost. For example, I have 2 bins right here and a bin right here. This bin, the one you just saw, is my bin that I'm currently adding to. Now this bin is one that I stopped adding to a few months back, and I've just been letting it sit and break down. It looks a bit crusty. You can see the nice compost and all the bugs. So that one I had stopped a few months back. But at one point it had been at this level. So, it kind of broke down over time. Now this bin right here, I had added one last final bokashi bin to it. And now I am letting it stop just like I'm letting this one finish. This one I'm not gonna add any more to it. I could, but I wanted to eventually come to a stopping point and be able to fully break down all together. So I'm not going to add it to anymore. I'm going to just let it sit. It's going to finish and all will be well. Now, this does beg the question of, do you need multiple bins and piles? Well, eventually you will, because you do want to let it come to that finishing point so you don't have a half decomposed product when you go to harvest it. So getting an extra bin or making another pile is going to be in your best interest so that you can be able to add your current food scraps and browns and stuff, but then also have a nice bin or pile that is sitting there finishing and that will be soon ready to go. Alrighty, so just to recap everything, 3 common mistakes that beginner composters make is not making your compostable small enough to be able to break down easier, not adding enough browns to your compost pile, and then not letting your compost take minutes, take some time, and finish to fully break down. If you can avoid making these common mistakes, then I guarantee you will have the most luxurious, amazing, cooperative compost there is. It will make your life easier, and it will make the decomposition process way easier for the environment and for the compost too. Alrighty, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Share this video with anyone who you think may be making these mistakes and needs to avoid them. And yeah, if you found it helpful, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe, give me some comments in the comment section, and please share it with your loved ones. And yeah, I'm Compost Fairy. Thank you so much for watching this video. And yeah, can't wait to grow, explore, and do the damn thing with you next time. Have a good one. Bye.